slide. HEC offers a very wide, unique range of programs. The ones I'll be focusing on today are called the PreExperience Masters programs, which means that you're eligible to apply as long as you're in your final year of bachelor's, or even if you're in your final year of master's degree, or if you've already completed your bachelor's or master's, that you haven't exceeded the 3-year mark in terms of full-time professional work experience by the time you would begin the program. So again, if you, since your most recent degree, if you don't exceed 3 years of professional work experience by the time you would begin the program in September, then you're more than eligible for all of these programs that I'm mentioning to you today. If you're still currently a student in your bachelor's or master's, then you're welcome to apply as of your final year of your program. If you have completed your degree and you have between 3 to 10 years of professional work experience, then we offer an excellent MBA program. So you can be in touch with our MBA team and they'd be happy to give you more information about that. We have executive MBA programs, PhD programs, and then of course the summer school programs, which are an excellent way to get a taste for HEC before committing to a full-time master's program. So we offer, like I said, a really wide, unique range of programs, but the ones I'll be focusing on today are the PreExperience Masters programs. I have a whole team in place to help you apply with the best application possible. So this presentation is to just give you an idea of the types of programs that exist, give you a few tips on the application process, and then of course, you're welcome to contact my team at any time with any questions that you have so that we can assist you. In terms of the rankings, I won't go too much into our rankings because I really think that they speak for themselves. But the one I always like to mention is that HEC is number 3 on the Alma Mater Index. What that means is if you take all the top CEOs worldwide, HEC is the number 3 school represented behind Stanford and Harvard. So when you come to HEC, we really help you become, not just go into whatever industry you're interested in, we help you become a leader of that industry. And that's why leadership potential is something that we really try to focus on when evaluating your application. And it's also something that we try to instill in the program. So to give you a more concrete example, Hubert Joly, he is an alumni of HEC. He is also the CEO of Best Buy, and he donated about 3 years ago, 3 million euros to HEC, which was used to create a purposeful leadership program. This means that we really try to integrate this concept of purposeful leadership in every single year of the master's program that we teach. So in terms of facts and figures, we have about 4,500 students enrolled in all the programs that I mentioned in my last slide, with 105 nationalities represented. So we have an incredible diversity on campus that we're extremely proud of. Students bring their own background, their own culture, and use it to really enrich our community. So you'll find that in all the programs that we offer. We also have 60,000 alumni in 135 different countries. The reason I really like to mention this is because not only is our alumni network an excellent support system for you throughout the program, but they're also a network that you can count on for the rest of your career, regardless of your industry, regardless of which country you're working in. You can really count on them. So again, to give you a more concrete example, I organized an event at BNP Paribas in New York and invited alumni from all different industries, so marketing, consulting, finance, and they had all found their current positions thanks to the alumni network. You'll see why when you're a student in the program, they're sending job and internship opportunities to you almost on a daily basis. So again, a really great resource for you that you'll have in the program in addition to everything that I'm presenting today. It's also why we have really strong corporate partnerships in all different industries. So in terms of our philosophy at HEC, this is really what sets our programs apart. This to me is what makes HEC unique. So we obviously maintain very high quality standards. That's not only why we're well ranked #1 business school in Europe, but also because our students really appreciate this quality in the program. So we maximize class hours and we reduce class sizes. So you'll really never be in the classroom with more than 50 students at a time, regardless of the program to which you're applying. Those classes will always be taught by full-time HEC faculty or professionals from the industry who are here to teach you. Let's say it's someone from Bain who's teaching you a strategy class. So they'll always be full-time HEC faculty or professionals, but those classes will never be taught by teacher's assistants. That's really important to know. It also is what contributes to our perfect balance between theory and practice. So HEC is really known for the practical approach that we incorporate in our teaching, which means that we have you work on, there are no games at HEC, it's really real life case studies. So you're working on concrete projects that various industries are addressing as topics. You're working on current company projects. So everything that you're doing is practical. Everything that you're doing is going to contribute to this perfect balance between theory and practice. And then it's also what makes HEC a particularly inspiring environment with personal development programs such as the Purposeful Leadership one that I mentioned, many networking events that you can participate in. So we have the Finance Fair, Consulting Fair, Tech Day, we have Impact Day, where we draw companies from really all over the world who come to recruit our HEC Paris students. So you'll see where that plays in our career placement a little bit later on in the presentation. We also have a very strong campus social life, which again, I'll touch on a little bit later on in the presentation. This right here, what I'm showing to you is the PreExperience Masters portfolio. So these are all the PreExperience Masters programs that we offer at HEC. Our flagship program, because it offers the most amount of possibilities, is the Grande École Master in Management program taught in 2 years. So you have a first year generalist phase, an optional gap year, and then a second year specialization phase. The reason it's 2 years is because 2 years is really the amount of time you need to first develop a really strong base in business and management before specializing in your second year. And then because of the practical approach that we incorporate in your first year, because of the constant networking opportunities and contact that you have with companies, over 90% of our students choose to do the optional gap year. So in the gap year for the Master in Management, students will do either 2 6-month internships, or they'll do a 1-year full-time job. They'll work on a personal project. They'll create their own startup. There are a lot of possibilities of what you can do during this optional gap year. Typically what students do is try to see 2 different industries. So I recently spoke to a student who was working 6 months in Dubai with BCG and then was going to do 6 months in finance in London at JP Morgan. So that's going to help the student not only get 2 wonderful experiences on his CV, but also help him determine what he wants to do for his second year specialization. So again, through the Master in Management, you have many options for the specialization phase. What you do in your second year of this program, you don't have to decide until the end of your first year or even during the optional gap year. So the options for your second year are either to stay on campus and specialize in the long list of specializations we offer. They include international finance, managerial and financial economics, entrepreneurship, marketing, strategic management. You have a very long list. So you would still, if you choose one of these specializations, you'd be staying on campus the whole second year. You also have the possibility of specializing in what we call international business. This means that you can do a semester abroad in one of our partner institutions. So it can either be through the SEMS network. So you would be doing a 1 semester exchange at a SEMS partner institution, or you can do the international double degree, which means that for your second year, you'd be spending the entire year in one of our partner institutions, and you would be getting a degree from both HEC Paris and, let's say, MIT or Yale, for example. We have a long list of international double degree options for you, and you can get familiar with them either through the website or you can send us an email. We'd be happy to share. So basically, Master in Management flagship program because of this first year generalist phase, optional gap year, and then many different specializations that you can choose for the second year. If you know for sure right away before applying to HEC that you want to do your first year at HEC and your second year studying innovation at TUM in Munich, Or if you know for sure you want to spend your first year at HEC and your second year at Yale, then you can apply directly to these double degree or M2M programs that you can see listed in the next section. That means that if you're admitted to that program, then your first year and your second year are fixed. Whereas if you apply to the Master in Management, what you do in your second year is still completely open and you can decide at a later date. So that's kind of the difference between the Master in Management and the double degrees, is that once admitted to the M2M HEC Yale, your first year will be at HEC, your second year will be at Yale, and you'll know that before you even step foot on the HEC campus. The other option for you is if you're looking for a shorter, more focused master's program, I recommend the MSc program. So these start in September, they finish in June, and they're usually more focused on one topic. So the MSc International Finance will give you really the full range of the finance industry and will help you kind of kickstart your professional career. Of course, there's sustainability and social innovation, managerial and financial economics, strategic management. You can see them all listed here. Every single program listed in our pre-experience master's portfolio is taught 100% in English. There is no French required, except for the two in the bottom right. So Médias, Arts et Création and Droit et Management International. So MAC and DMI, those two on the bottom right, those are our only programs taught entirely in French. If you're torn between two programs on this list, so let's say you're super interested in international finance, but you're also kind of interested by the managerial and financial economics, in one application, you can put a first choice and a second choice. So you can list the international finance program as your first choice and then managerial and financial economics as your second choice. You can do that through one application. So it's a maximum of two choices. If you're admitted to your first choice, we'll disregard your second choice. And if you're admitted to your not admitted to your first choice, then we'll look at your second choice as if that's the only program to which you applied. So adding two choices in one application is a wonderful way of maximizing your chances of admission at HEC Paris. In terms of the Master in Management, this is really just to give you an idea of the class profile for the program, so about 250 students. All of these programs are actually open to all academic backgrounds, even the more technical ones like the MSc International Finance or the MSc Strategic Management. Our programs are really open to all academic backgrounds. So this is to give you an idea of what I said. For the first year, you have the core classes, the electives, and then the entire structure that feeds into the practical approach, the optional gap year, and then you'll see here the different options that you have for your specialization phase. So the example of the on-campus specializations are here. You can do an international double degree with any of these institutions listed on here. You can do just a semester abroad. So many, many possibilities. But again, you don't have to decide until the end of your first year or even during your optional gap year. In terms of the career paths after the program, specifically for the Master in Management, this is something that we know when you come to a business school, you're really looking for solid career placement, and HEC can provide that for you. So we have a very strong employment rate. Most of our students choose to remain in Europe to work. They can remain on a student visa for about a year after the program, which allows them to stay in Europe, do their internships or full-time job opportunities, and then usually the company takes over the visa sponsorship process. You can see all the different sectors that our students go into. So again, very solid career placement, and this doesn't just apply to our Master in Management. The MSc programs, you can see them listed once again here. So again, like I said, they're more specialized. They get you earlier, logged on earlier on the job market, and then give you additional specialized skills. So the structure usually goes that they start in September, they finish in June. You have a mix of core classes and electives, usually a study trip to kick off the program. So that's to get you networking with companies. Depending on your program, you'll either go to London or Frankfurt or Los Angeles, or a lot of different cool places that our students go to. And then many of them involve company project or case studies, and then a certificate at the end. So I'll talk to you a little bit here about the certificates. This to me is really, again, it captures the spirit of our teaching method at HEC. It's an interdisciplinary learning experience. What that means is in the last 6 to 8 weeks of your program, it's optional for the it's optional for the Master in Management, but obligatory for the MSc programs, the certificate. What it is the last 6 to 8 weeks of your program, you can choose one of these 8 certificates. What a certificate is that a full-time HEC faculty member got together with at least one major corporate partner, and they designed this certificate around, okay, in the world of luxury, what is it we want our future employees to know? And so you'll be going to the offices of Kering. If you do excellence in client experience, you'll be going to the offices of LVMH to see what types of project they're working on. So again, another great way to get a sector of expertise on your CV, and a way to define kind of what industry you're interested in. For the campus and student life, so of course that's a really important part of your HEC experience. We're set on a campus between Paris and Versailles. We offer shuttle buses that go in and out of Paris up until 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's really nice. You're on the campus, you're on an American style campus with everything that's 5 minutes walking. And then if you want to be enjoying everything that Paris has to offer, then you have easy access to that. We have over 130 different student associations that you can get involved in. I'd say most HEC students are involved in at least one association. They range from cultural to professional to athletic. The professional ones are really cool. They organize events oftentimes with big name companies like Bain or L'Oréal, depending on the one you're in. And then the on-campus accommodation, all international students are guaranteed housing on campus, and I highly recommend that you take advantage of this opportunity. Now for how to apply, just to give you a little bit of information, we have a holistic approach in how we evaluate applications. So no one element is more important to us than the other. So keep in mind that we really want to see a balance in all these different elements displayed on my slide right here. If you feel like you have a slightly weak GMAT score, but you've maintained excellent grades and taken very challenging classes, that can all balance out. So keep in mind that if you feel like you're weak in one area, but you're really strong in the others, it can still, balance out your application. For the application process, so it's a 4-step process. You can create your application via the HEC Paris website. Once you submit your application to your admission deadline, a few weeks later, we'll let you know whether or not you're admissible. So that means whether or not you've been invited to an interview. And then after your interview, you'll have the final admissions results. So whether or not you were admitted to the program to which you applied. In terms of supporting documents, we'll need degree certificates if you've already graduated. If you're currently a student, then we'll need a current enrollment. It just proves that you're still a student. All official academic transcripts with your GPA listed on them. Again, we know that the current situation has made certain parts of the application process challenging. Please be in touch with us if you have any doubts, if you're having any difficulty getting a certificate or a transcript. We'll be very understanding, and you can just keep us posted. We need the GMAT, GRE, or TAJMAJ for most of the programs that I introduced to you today. We have no minimum score for this and no preference between these 3 different tests. So pick the one that's most adapted to your background. For the GMAT, the average score we accepted for most of our programs was between 700 and 710. So if you haven't taken it yet, you can fix that as your objective. If you're below that score, just be in touch with us, send us your CV, and we'll help you decide if that's a sufficient score. For the GRE, we're looking at about 320 as the average score we accepted last year, and the TAJMAJ is 400. We are accepting the online and in-person version of the GMAT or GRE. In terms of English language proficiency, this is a requirement unless your most recent degree was taught entirely in English, or if you hold a passport from an Anglophone speaking country. So keep that in mind for the English language requirement. We need 2 letters of recommendation, either both academic or one academic, one professional. We'll also need you to answer the essay questions. If you want to get familiar with those, you can just create your application as of now, and then €110 application fee. For the admissions deadlines, you can see them listed here. So we have January 6th, March 3rd, and April 28th left. You can pick any of the deadlines. Just know that with each passing deadline, there are fewer and fewer spots available. So the most important thing to do is to apply when your application is the strongest. But if that happens to be earlier rather than later, that's always best. So let's say you apply to the January 6th deadline, you'll have the results on whether or not you've been invited to an interview on January 28th, and then the final admissions results pretty shortly after that. In terms of your online resume, again, this is completely optional, but we know exactly what our admissions team are looking for, and you're welcome to kind of follow this structure. So list your education, then professional experiences that can include your internships, volunteer experiences, awards, finally, extracurricular activities, IT skills, languages, and if you have room, you can include one line on interests. Try to be as specific as you can if you do choose to list interests. And then finally, for the interview, so right now they're currently taking place online. Maybe in the spring we'll be able to offer the possibility of doing an on-campus interview, but for right now we're focusing on online interviews. It's depending on the program, they're almost entirely 25 minutes. Of course, all in English. Here are just kind of a few tips to keep in mind. Make sure that, when you register for your time slot, you keep in mind that it's in Paris time. Be professional, make sure your background is neutral. We want to know that you're taking this process seriously. And then if you have checked out our website, you can see that there's an option to chat with our students. There are over 175 different students that you can chat with via our website. They're here to answer any questions that you have about their program, their life at HEC as a student. So be in touch with them. They're really wonderful, and they range across all programs. So that's about it for the presentation. If you have any questions, like I said, we're here to help you apply with the best application possible. So you can contact us at admissionsmasters@hec.fr. We're here to, if you want us to look at your CV, if you have doubts on your GMAT score, please don't hesitate to be in touch. We're really here for that. I think that's it for the presentation, and I'm seeing the link to the chat. So I'll be leaving you now, if that's okay, to connect into the chat. Otherwise, I'm sure that there's a few more things that I can mention about my slides, but I think that's kind of the key points for the PreExperience Masters programs at HEC Paris. So thanks everyone for participating. I'm going to connect onto the Zoom link that I've been provided.